I will be telling you a little bit about what Whizz Education does. It's an educational company, and then how we've gone outside in the world and done certain open the markets, and what are the tricks. So if they can be used by anybody, please use them. So I'll start off with just going on what Whizz Education is. So Whizz Education, we partner with parents, schools, ministries of education and donor organizations to raise standards in maths. The way we achieve it is through online virtual tutoring, teacher-led digital resources, and application of best practices. The company has been set up in 2004, so we are 12 years still alive and kicking, and actually now starting to really roll it. The company is the creator and the IP owner of the MathsWhiz suite of services, so that belongs to us and that does not go anywhere and it stays with us. So that's a very important thing also for people who are going abroad, who are going international. Any partnership, anything, any deal you go, you keep your IP. So, as I started saying, we did start in 2004, but in the last 12 years, we've expanded to the point where we've got offices in London, Seattle, Dubai, Nairobi, and we're operating through authorized partners in Russia, Mexico, New Zealand, and Thailand. So we're getting there slowly. And just as a point probably of what is attractive, might be attractive, is the central ministry level deals, one in Moscow, Kazakhstan, Kenya, and Mexico. So we're going large scale. Right, and with all that work, we have received various awards, so Queen's Award and Area Award, all of that, and the latest one was this year, BET Award 2016. So we're very proud of it, and it's all for the international achievements. And I guess why anybody would be interested in sitting and listening to me talking is this is the result of the work that we have been doing. So in the last 3 years, our revenues doubled, and largely to the international expansion. Right, so I'm going to cover those bits is why would you like to go overseas, the strategy and the tricks to do that, and understanding the culture. Right, so why on earth would anybody go overseas? There are opportunities, and opportunities can be opened through various partnerships, and the partners on the ground would usually know more information, that would have the inside of it. There is a huge demand for British education. British education, and the word, this is a British educational company, that's a brand on its own, and that carries a lot of power when you come and you try to make business outside. Central procurement. So there are a few opportunities in England. However, abroad, there are much more opportunities of going national level, so basically procuring for the whole country and making big deal, which allows you to upscale. When you go abroad, you end up with product enhancement. Sometimes it's usually you don't want to, but you are forced to do that because basically you end up having more customers. With more customers, you get more users and testers. And then customers in other countries, they come up actually with quite interesting features which you might have not thought about before. And then you start integrating, and then the British market is also liking it because you're becoming something special. And then it's a team capacity building. So obviously when you go abroad, you do have to upscale your team. You upscale the team here in wherever you're based in the UK. And then you also build a team abroad. While you build a team abroad, there is a lot of communication between the team members. Obviously, they're learning the skills and so on. So it's just automatically there is a team capacity building. And it's also sometimes you find somebody abroad in the country and you actually end up bringing them into here because they have such specialization that is needed here. So the bottom line really why you would be going is there is an opportunity for a revenue growth. And the good news is that there is also the help out there. So we use different resources. So we do use UKTI largely. BET show, International Educational Show. So that's a very good platform for for introducing yourself to international potential buyers, potential partners, potential actually also ministries of education, because they do all come to bed. So if you are interested in going abroad, that's the show you want to go to. BISA, they support the relationship with other British educational companies. Right, so strategy and tactics. So before going anywhere, you would be doing the research. The way I usually approach it, it's a personal approach, is I rewind back, so I would go back to about 3-4 years ago where the market was, what was going on in there, what was going on in the country, what was the political, what was the economic. So you do all the SWOT analysis, basically. And then you actually look where forward, what's the view, where the politicians are promising the country is going to be. And then you try to fit yourself in the middle of that, and do you see yourself being there and going forward, but also making the difference. Once you see yourself making the difference, then there is a potential for you in the market. So is the market keeping to its trajectory? There is, obviously we have economic fluctuations and so on, and there are big collapses, but usually you do see the trajectory where the market is going to be. And it is good to know beforehand, and whether it had big collapses or not, or whether it's also to prepare yourself. As an example, I can give you, with 4 years ago, we went to Russia. We've done very successfully on the market. The last year has not been that fantastic, but we're geared up. We're fully present there, and we're just holding out. So there are various strategies, but it's also that you need to know what's happening there. Is the government doing what it promised to do? Well, let's say I did not say that question, because no governments do what they actually promise to do. However, let's see, are they vaguely following their promises? Because if they are, then you can see there is a potential for the growth. You can see that you can fit, and there is. You also assess your risk, basically, where are you going to be. And you also do check, is there central procurement opportunities, which means economies of scale. So procurement opportunities and the central, obviously big scale, and then the costs and its worth. Right, so the way we would do it, so if you've done the research, you're happy with it, the way I suggest personally to do it, and by the way, these guys are not doing a separate check for that one. But what I've discovered is actually that works personally for me and for Whizz. So what I do is I do UKTI or misses, usually. The reason for it is it's tailored to your needs. So I'm happy because I get a personalized attention on that. I know it costs a lot of money. I've been told by this gentleman over there, you see he's still sunk in budget. You also outsource capacity. So in a way, I have to say, within small companies usually, there isn't that much capacity. So to be capacities, I need to travel, I need to find, I don't know how many people, try to get the meetings and all of that. No way I can do it. And proven track record. I mean, I'm standing, I believe there were another 15 people here yesterday standing doing exactly the same thing. So, it does work. And basically, they do become the first partner in the market that you go to. And there is support, and there is a disciplined approach. And you've just got a helping hand, really, there. When you are in the foreign market, sometimes you are actually personally going there and doing this almost, and you're all on your own. And believe me, you do want to have a friend call line. And it is value for money. I cannot say more than it is absolutely value for money, so it's worth every penny. And basically, this is what we've been getting out of it. We've gained access to the market inside knowledge and inside information, and sometimes the rumors and the whispers and everything like that. You don't get it when you come as a foreigner. Decision makers within the government. We've seen a lot of decision makers within the government, and actually, right now, this lady there has connected us to the decision maker who is to come back with, to us with basically an approval on the contract. So they do that. And then the cross-section of potential partners and identifying the right one. So this is very important because there are thousands and thousands of different partners. They will come and they'll say, we want to work with you, and so on. The main bit is to identify the right potential one, and then you actually go through the last 10. So the work that is being done and the amount of companies that the UKTI officers go through to actually offer you the ones that might work for you is just amazing. It's not only UKTI that does the job, and there is a little bit that you have to do yourself as well. Now, you need to know who you are. You need to know what you want to achieve, as in the market that you're going to, who you want to meet, what questions you want answered, what your next steps would be. If you do not have those questions answered, you do not do the right specification for the UKTI officers to find the right people and to do the right OMIS for you. So sometimes, you don't go and say, well, we are the best education company, or we are this or that, or you go being shy about it. I don't. I try to save the time for the UKTI officers and myself. So we say we are the bespoke product. We are the best in the market, and we're looking for the best partner possible, those who can actually handle the business. And this is an example I'm going to give you. We have a Whizz partner criteria, according to which, and when we actually do the OMIS, we always send that. So it's not just for the UKTI, we've developed that internally for the company, and this is what we always send. So what we look for the partner, and we obviously expect them to demonstrate the knowledge and understanding of the school sector and the education structure of the market. They're committed to raising standards in maths, because we specialize in maths, and if these people are not committed, we cannot work together with them. We actually do ask them to allocate dedicated business development manpower, because this way we know that they are into it and they are interested, and there is an ownership of this account. We also prefer to become the core strategy for the company. Sometimes we start where we're not a core strategy, but we do end up. So for an example is our partner in New Zealand. They used to specialize in other educational resources. They provided other educational products and so on. Today, they probably have quadrupled their profit from working just with Mathsways. But sometimes, you do need to support your partner to actually arrive to that conclusion. So we gave them the time. They also need to be able to demonstrate financial commitment. Sometimes it's not enough to just say yes and to do a little bit of work. We want to see the money. Once people put their money to what they're saying, that usually starts working. So for example, when we go international into the markets where English is not the first language, we actually ask them to pay part for the localization. Yes, we do that here in the UK, but also do pay the translators and so on, and it works. And also, we say, where appropriate, must demonstrate that they have strong existing relationship with the Ministry of Education. We are there for the long term. We're not coming just for 1 year and then we're going. We're there to stay. We want a relationship. Usually we want the relationship with the Ministry of Education. Now we say there is a test, litmus test, is basically, the partners say, yes, I know this is my brother, this is my cousin, and so on. The test is very easy. Please set up the meeting. I will arrive on that day. Let's see how many of them pass it usually. Right, so partnership is not the only way to go to an international market, and there are certain markets, they're just not ready for you yet. There are no partners. I've recently been, last year, so we've been to 2 markets. There are no partners. We just can't find a partner. They all say, yes, we are, but actually they wouldn't understand the core business. They don't understand the strategy. They don't understand where the market is actually going, the educational market and the future. One of the questions, where do you see the educational market in the next 5 years? So that will already give you, an idea of where that potential partner is. So we went through all the interviews. It was the UKTI mess. We went through all the interviews with potential partners, and we said, it's not going to work. We just don't have. What are the other options? Said there are no other options. Well, we have made a direct partnership with the Ministry of Education. So that's one of the examples. They are prepared to work directly with foreign companies. And when you say you're a British company, it works. There is another one, which is company setup. We used to be in Dubai and we worked with partner. That didn't really work. So we ended up having to set up a company. In the US, we have a set up company. We work with districts directly. And then another one is, so for example, into Kenyan market, we went with a consortium. We're part of a DFID-backed project, and we're part of the consortium. So we entered it, as on the back burner, really. However, we are preparing for the future, and we've got a representative office there as well. And we are already working with the Ministry of Education and so on, and we're trying to make it big again. Right, so the next one, know the culture. So, I had international baccalaureate at some point. I went to the international university with all the international teams, and somehow I've got international to my title at the job. It doesn't happen for just nothing. You actually usually need to have within the team somebody who has international experience. They can be British, but they usually will have traveled a little bit around the world and so on. And if you've got a guy saying, well, listen, I'm ready to take that position, and he hasn't been abroad, he hasn't traveled, he has no idea what the foreign cultures are, you send him backpacking for a year to Africa. And then if he passes that, you're okay to hire him. So I'll give you a few examples on the negotiation. Understanding culture is very important. For example, with negotiation, I'll give you 3 examples. There are certain countries in this world where you would walk into to actually negotiate even the final price or the contract and so on. They would talk to you about your mother's health and so on, and then they would say goodbye to you. You walk out of the meeting, you're not understanding. But then there is lunch. And then after about a few liters of spiritus, they start talking business. That's the way it's done. And there is some logic in the madness, because usually they say that if you do take a lot of spiritus, then you start behaving as you are, as you intend. And this is how they find the true partner. So this is your one experience. There is another experience. Certain cultures do not negotiate. So you put in the price, and this is the price they take. So you need to be careful, because if you put the price too high, and they will just come back and say no. There are other cultures that would not respect themselves if they do not bargain. They will never sign a contract without bargaining. It doesn't matter if it's 2p, they have to bargain. And then there is another culture, so not really, let's say, no bad intention, but for example, in Africa, everything has to come for free. And you do have to spend a whole meeting explaining, well, no, that actually shouldn't be for free. So build an international team. That's, again, as I mentioned, it's extremely important. Your team is the one who is going to be working with your partners and with that market. They need to understand what they're doing. And in partnership, so I joined the company to actually lead on the implementation of the Russian deal that we had with the Moscow Department of Education. That was a while ago, that was 4 years ago, I'm still alive. But what happened is when I joined the company, there were some issues. And they were only cultural, because people just didn't know how to talk to each other. There was no language barrier, there was a completely cultural barrier, and it's just one person was not talking correctly to the other person. They didn't like the tone of the voice or anything like that. Give you another example, people thought I was going to kill our Kazakh partner, but actually we were saying and exchanging pleasantries. So there are various ways. With another partner, I would call them once in 2 months. And we would talk for 5 hours about really nothing. And, oh, by the way, any update? No. Okay, bye. Another partner would call me once in half a year. And that's just the way it is. But it's also, you do need to understand the culture and you need to work. So you do need to have international experience again. And account management, Again, that's how you talk, how do you chase, how, certain people, I've got to call them 5 times a day. Certain partners, I don't talk to them, as I mentioned, for half a year. But it's an account manager who is going to join my team, who is going to look after a particular account. I need to manage them, and they also need to work in that particular culture. So the experience that we usually go through is we hire the locals. So if we go into a foreign country, there is always a local head of business. Our international team, we've got one British guy. He had his cultural experience in Afghanistan and Iraq, so we think that he's all right, settled. He is now trotting around Kenya. It's a very important. And then business development. There is a lot of culture in business development. Business development usually does not happen at official meetings in most of the countries. So it's usually at the lunches, at the dinners, and behind the scenes, and here and there, and so on. You need to know each particular culture and also political situation in the country on how to do the business development. That's why your international team should come the strongest. Right, so, and the last bit really is manage your expectations. So the first one, patience. There are certain opportunities that, well, it's been 3 years. The lady has already married, gone on maternity leave, and planning to come back, and I'm still updating her on how my communication is going. Forget about the contract or anything like that. On the other hand, when I joined the company, I had the deal done in 2 weeks. You just never know, and you just need to have the patience and wait for the right moment for this whole thing to arrive. So that would be the outcome if you go through it successfully. And the one last thing is that you need to enjoy it as well.